my night is already made because my husband had to pay to listen to me. See, I'll take this also insult. I'll never be forgiven for it. But anyway, so the reason I signed up for Bright Club is that you get to talk to people. And that's not something you do very often in the humanities, which is what I'm doing. And you get to be a little bit lonely. I mean, I don't know how many people are in the sciences here tonight. And I know that there's lots of people collaborating on science papers. I know the CERN put out something that has over 3,000 people working on a single paper. And I proofread some of them, so I know that this is what I come up with all the time. And I don't know how you do it. I mean, from my perspective, I imagine some sort of gladiatorial games going on, Hunger Games, and whoever is left standing gets to have their name on here, and everybody else gets wrapped up in this miasma of et al. And others. If you're working in the humanities, however, it's a little bit different. Unless you're in a Dan Brown film where people crowd in their hundreds to listen to a lecture on iconography. Or at the crime scene, the police is actually going, oh my God, is anybody an art historian? It tends to be just you, alone, in a crypt, which is actually where I'm working right now. But no, honestly, this is brilliant. This is the Mining Institute. It's in Westgate Road. I took this picture of Google Maps because I couldn't quite get that dun-dun-dun angle that my camera didn't allow. Well, the thing is, you know where it is. It's just down the road. And it's right next to Royal Station Hotel, so anytime you go out on the Lash, you're bound to come across it. And remember, it's a beautiful neo-Gothic building with gargoyles that's not Gotham Town. Okay, so to go and find me, what you have to do is you go into this beautiful church-like space. You go down this set of spiral iron stairs deep into the basement. You push open a set of enormous iron doors. I'm not joking, it's a labyrinth in there. And every time I do that, every time I go and fetch a book, I want to hide somewhere and cackle in my Eastern European accent to scare the shit out of all the kids. But the thing is, no, this is beautiful. I get paid to be Indiana Jones. I'm not just cosplaying for shits and giggles. I actually get paid by the country to work with this material. And it is fantastic. I work with these really old, beautiful ledgers and accounts, which is exciting enough, okay? I mean, it's good enough. And to be honest, okay, I did have a bit of a reality check when I opened my first of those enormous boxes, and it said literally, boring accounts. I was wondering, but the English are really subtle, and the Geordies are really straightforward. I was told that, and when I came here, I was like, damn, you really are. Now, but this is a mining pun I have to apologize for. As you all know, boring is a way of inspecting the ground so that you can sink a mine and your fortune and your family's livelihood into what is essentially a gamble. And then everything invariably goes wrong and everybody dies. And before I go into that, I would like to say something else about the thing I'm researching right now, which is the introduction of safety lamps. Now this is Humphrey Davy, Southerner, okay, boo him all you like. And he's being all sexy with, oh God, you can't see the lamp, which is really ironic because neither could the miners. He was really shit. Let me show you his masterpiece. I'll leave this here for a second for you to get it. And so what happened was, at the time, Humphrey Davy was the president of the Royal Institution. But he didn't quite have that support and respect of his peers that he so craved. And now, he had the right connections. He was a baronet. He had the right attitude. He wrote poetry. All these are essential qualities for an 18th century chemist. But he needed a big brass move to propel him into the 19th century. And, well, he had a bit of wire. But, so this was his ticket into immortality. And at the same time, a local man, George Stephenson, came up with exactly the same design at the same time. Huge scandal, because they didn't have heat or anything. This was the kind of scandal they had. But the thing is, the reason they came up with the same stuff is basically in the 1810s, your level of technology was a hammer. And so nothing was going to come up with cold fusion all of a sudden. And as it's always the case, The client wanted the cheapest thing possible. He just wanted to have a little bit of a shield on the candle so it doesn't explode in your face in the methane pocket. So they came up with the same thing. So what happens with Davy? Well, take it logically, okay? He's a scientist, he gets angry, he hops the fuck out. Now, you think, I know what you're thinking, you should just put this here to keep people interested in eye candy, and I did. But, no, when you read his letters, he actually goes mental, and I need to remind you, at the time, Davy was honestly tripping off his tits on all the gases he was discovering as he came. So God knows what went on in there. And you can see in his letters, you know how when you give different drugs to spiders, they have different cobwebs. Well, you can see it in his writing. And sorry, I took this picture at Woodhorn Museum where you're not supposed to have a camera. So if anybody from Woodhorn is here tonight, ignore this. Just go with it, okay? And you can see what happens. I mean, his writing turns into angry caveman scritches. His quill is tearing the paper. His tears are staining the ink. I mean, at one point, he actually says, as if he were a 14-year-old girl writing a secret diary, that he wishes he burned these letters for all the anguish it caused him. But for the interest of science, he was actually saving them and sending them to people. There's another one, I love this. I put this up on Facebook to tell people, look at the kind of shit I have to decipher. But a friend of mine casually pointed out that he misquoted his Herodotus. Now, I know what you're thinking, I know. Normal people put up pictures of getting drunk on Facebook and everybody in the comments goes, YOLO, swag, and I've got this. Friend me, it's a non-stop riot on my wall. Now, I didn't want to actually embarrass my friend. I wanted to show you this because it's a beautiful example of 18th century rage. Davy is so upset he's mixing up his classics. Now, in another letter, which was pretty much my favorite, he completely unself-consciously admits to a guy he's writing to, Dr. Hodgson, that he read out Stevenson's claim of prior invention to his wife, and his wife agreed that Stevenson's a complete and utter dick. Sorry, no, I exaggerate. I mean, it was in a beautiful 19th century restrained language. How was it? Oh, yeah. Oh, I do agree that Mr. Stevenson's character can best be described in terms of male anatomy. There's a cock. She didn't really say that. Or did she? You just don't know what you're doing. Because this is the thing, this is my problem. There's no space in the academia for all the fun stuff you come across. I'm writing this up for conference right now, but the conference is in the history of health and safety, so I don't think they have a sense of humor, so I'm just keeping it here. You're in luck, because I'm there, I've got all this stuff. If you want the inside scoop, if you want the nitty-gritty detail, all the juicy gossip on the scientists, go to the Mining Institute. You know where it is, I'm there, so go down those spiral stairs, push open that door into the darkness, so you don't have to be afraid, because I'm there, waiting for you.